subjectively at least, define as an assault or a rape. That's not how the people involved understood it. They involved it as hazing. So for example, in crossing the line ceremonies, which you probably know about from the Navy, in which of course assume various forms in different eras, it's a ceremony that sailors go through when their ships cross the equator. There is, at least according to the extensive ethnographic evidence I've seen, penetration and rape that's regularly part of that, and it looks different. I mean, there are different things penetrating different parts of the male body, but that's not about punishing anybody or excluding them from the military. That's about socializing them as folks who have crossed the line. Now, I don't think anyone in those ceremonies, well, I shouldn't say that. I would be somewhat surprised that people in those ceremonies think of those moments as rape. At the same time, they are involuntary bodily penetrations. So that's what I meant.
Okay. That makes very much sense, because we found also even with female assault, the vast majority of men did not believe that they were actually committing assault. They were just horsing around. And so I think maybe that's just part of the broader culture that hopefully over time will absorb a little bit of a new language.
Well, I think you're raising many fascinating points, and I know there are other questions, but I will say very briefly, I sat down with a naval officer and someone who had graduated from the Naval Academy to interview her for my research for my book, and I asked her, and we had a long-term relationship and a great deal of trust. I asked her if she had ever experienced anything associated with sexual violence in any part of the military, and she said no. The conversation twisted and turned and moved on to other things, and then later in the conversation, in just kind of an offhanded way, she mentioned that some men had entered her room at the Naval Academy and threatened to rape her, and she had to fend them off. But in her mind, her first answer to me was truthful, because what had happened to her in her mind was